it's John Hucker, president of the Swiss Finance and Technology Association. I'm here today because I wanted to discuss Libra. Since it was set up earlier this month in Geneva, we've received a lot of questions. So today I wanted to share answers to some of the more common questions, as well as to start a bigger discussion about what I call FinTech Plus, Switzerland, and the digital economy. First of all, I think it's a big signal that cryptocurrencies are ready to go mainstream. The second thing we've seen is that in the short term, markets have responded very well and other cryptocurrencies have seen their prices go up. This is probably because it's going to be more easy to exchange currencies, and also in the long term what we could see is that Libra becomes an anchor for an ecosystem to develop and other currencies to thrive. Well, first of all, I think it's a big boost for the value proposition of Switzerland, which has been around for a long time, but when someone like Libra confirms it, it's huge. Also, the fact that they've chosen the west of Switzerland should help to balance out and really develop the western part of the ecosystem. I think local companies, as well as everyone in Switzerland, will benefit from there being a strong local player in the country. And what's interesting as well to think about is how local companies can benefit from proximity to being a part of the new solutions that Libra creates and being able to connect to those solutions. So it's really interesting to note that there are no major financial services firms or other Swiss companies involved in Libra, despite it being based here and having a Swiss leader in David Marcus at its helm. I'm getting a lot of questions from financial services players and others about what does Libra mean, how does it work, how can they connect to it, but also what does this type of business model mean for them and what do they need to start to understand. And I think first and foremost, a big picture on what's going on with finance plus technology, or FinTech as it's usually called. It's a convergence of two separate sets of verticals, as you see in this visual. And sometimes when it's a company like Facebook leading the way, you tend to hear people say, no, it should be tech-fin, and it depends on where you put the influence. But it's a really interesting discussion to look at how this evolves, because the two are converging, and I'll talk more about that in a second. You see this probably best in the cases from Asia, like Tencent and Alibaba, where they've created not only giant digital ecosystems, but they've put financial services conglomerates up at their core, and that's really quite remarkable. The reason I mention all this is I believe strongly that Switzerland is the perfect location to base these types of digital ecosystems and digital businesses. Cross-industry collaboration works very well in this type of scenario, and that's why I'm behind a concept called Epicenter, which is being tested here in this location right now, but will be coming to Zurich soon, and I'll tell you more about that later. Well, I think what we've seen again here, time and time again, is Switzerland has very strong fundamentals, whether it's the political stability, the economic prudence, or the legal framework and regulatory environment. Switzerland is really the kind of location that blends tradition and innovation well, and it is a reliable home for businesses in the digital economy. We saw this actually very early on with one of the partners who's now involved in Libra, Zappo, who hosted their welcome event with the association 3 years ago. And they did a great job talking about what was so successful for them and why other companies would be coming to Switzerland. And I think we see that exactly here in the Libra case. Along the same lines, what you'll see recently from the association is our feedback on the new distributed ledger technology regulation, which our advocacy committee chair and vice president Luca Bianchi led. I encourage you to take a look at that and to watch as the area develops. So Geneva, this was a really interesting part of the story of Libra. First and foremost, we've been involved in Geneva for a number of years, and we've become very familiar with the dynamic of what's going on there, what makes it unique, and why it would be such a great location for a company like this. We actually highlighted that earlier this month, just before the news started to really catch on about Libra. We hosted Pierre Maudet, who's a very influential local politician, influential on the international stage as well, and played a key role in bringing Libra to Geneva. So take a look at his direct feedback about what it took and why companies should continue to choose Geneva. I think really what's also very, very interesting here, Geneva is less busy than the Zurich region in terms of the crypto space and fintech activity overall, but it offers a lot of the same fundamentals. You have a very strong local technical university in EPFL, and you also have a great financial services cluster that's quite unique around the world. I think what's really standing out about the Libra story and Switzerland and Geneva in particular, are the global organizations that you have based there, like the UN, the World Trade Organization, and countless other organizations, NGOs, and philanthropies. That'll really help to not only connect it globally, but help to make an impact in topics like financial inclusion. So stay tuned for more on that, I'm sure. watching. This is a really interesting part of the Libra story. Facebook has been in the news a lot recently for all the wrong reasons, with reputational problems. What sort of influence do they have on society, politics, and now what about the economy? So I think this is a very real concern. Something else that I like to remind people about is, if we go back to the formation of Facebook, when it was getting started, one of its lead investors and key groups behind it was the CIA's group called In-Q-Tel Ventures. So there's a long history of Facebook being involved in these high-level discussions, and I think that will continue to be a question around Libra as well. Interesting to note, keep in mind those tech giants from China, in particular Alibaba and Tencent. Those are extremely integrated, and they're coming from a whole different political agenda. So we're going to continue to watch this develop at a very global scale with these two different types of ecosystems evolving. I think this is a really historic announcement in the development of Switzerland as a financial center into a fintech hub. We have to look back only about 10 years ago, a little bit longer, when it was technology that ended the old value proposition of banking secrecy. You could burn a CD-ROM and take it across the border. And it's the same fundamentals that led to that type of industry and innovation, which was old and needs to be replaced, with the one that's emerging now around digital economies and the future of data management in them, and the role that Switzerland can play in all of that as an ideal home. We've seen this already with the Google Cloud being set up here, private clouds, and I think the real great example is the Crypto Valley explosion, which has come up around the blockchain topic. It's shown that global businesses recognize Switzerland as a location to be based. But what I want to remind everybody is that fintech and its future, which I call FinTech Plus, is not just about blockchain. It's about a convergence of finance and technology and the role that they play going forward to shape digital ecosystems and the digital economy. There's nowhere better in the world to play a part in that, and if you're interested to do so, I encourage you to check out the association. Come and join us at our conference later this year, FinTech Plus, and if you're interested, you can also learn about where I am right now, Epicenter. I'm really curious what you think about Libra, what you think about Switzerland's role in the digital economy of the future, and any other comments you want to share. So please reply, comment, post your own video, and we'd be happy to engage with you. Thanks very much.